We begin a very special broadcast this morning here for National Report as we take a live look right now outside of the Pentagon. Ceremonies marking 22 years since the deadliest terrorist attack in modern U.S. history, set to get underway here at any moment there as the Pentagon was struck by American Airlines Flight 77 at 9:37 a.m. You'll see a moment of silence here coming up. In attendance there, First Lady Jill Biden at America's Defense Department. It was 22 years ago today that the building was filled with people that morning defending America, just moments before a commercial jetliner plunging out of the sky, destroying a massive section of the fortress-like facility there. Again, a lot to discuss, a lot to reflect on, and various sites that you'll see throughout National Report this morning, and we'll take it to each and every one that we can. Thanks so much for tuning in to National Report this morning for a special coverage, again, of the September 11th ceremonies that you'll see. I'm Sean Kreisman.
And I'm Emma Reckenberg. We have a lot of other stories we're following for you here this morning. But for the moment, we're focused on what was the height of the chaos and confusion on 9/11 three separate locations, including Lower Manhattan, the Pentagon, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. As you take a live look here in New York City, where any minute now the world will pause for a moment of silence, marking the exact time, 9:03 Eastern, that a second plane struck the World Trade Center 22 years ago today. Ceremonies already underway again in Lower Manhattan. The reading of the names is what you see taking place by family members. At this time, on this day in 2001, a plane had already struck the North Tower at Ground Zero. Thousands were running for their lives in the chaos and confusion. First responders already headed up into the flames. News helicopters already on the scene, and the world watched live as a second plane struck the South Tower.
You're just a few seconds away here as you see the family members doing the reading of the names, something that has been done for the past 22 years right now, again, as what we now affectionately know as Ground Zero, the memorial there. Let's go to it live.
Sarah Francis Bodley.
Bruce Douglas Bohm.
Mary Catherine Murphy Boa.
Nicholas Andrew Bogdan.
Darren Christopher Bohan.
Lawrence Francis Bosso.
Vincent M. Bolands Jr.
Tori Hamzavi Bolorchi.
All right,
Alan
after that
Bondarenko.
moment of silence there, the reading of the names of the victims continues on. For more on our anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, we wanted to welcome in Peter Cagnassola. He's a volunteer firefighter from New Jersey who went to Ground Zero to help in the days after the attacks.
Yeah, it's amazing from what he's done. We're going to learn his story here. Peter joins us live on set. By the way, thank you so much for coming in, for what you've done, for coming into the studio this morning, for our viewers to share that story. There's a fascinating fact about the firefighter, the helmets that we see here on set. I wanted to get to that in just a moment, and you see it here. Before we do that, the reading of the names, tolling of the bells that we've seen. You're going to see 6 moments of silence that we have seen so far. We just went through a couple there, 8:46 and 9:03. Can you take me back? Can you take us back to that morning and what was going through your mind and what caused you, again, to react the way you did?
Yeah, members of our company responded to help the firefighters in New York City. We actually responded on Thursday. The attack was on Tuesday, and we were there Thursday and Friday and just trying to help and lend a hand any way we could.
What was that? What did they need your help doing on that Thursday? Because this was 2 days later. Obviously, this is when the plumes of smoke, debris, et cetera, were filling the skies of Manhattan at that time. Rubble completely covering downtown Manhattan. What was your assignment that day?
Oh, it was a rescue mission. I mean, you're hoping to find somebody.
Yeah. This was obviously just a devastating event. It shook Americans' lives, and it also had a major impact on the world stage. We understand there were folks in Australia who had reached out to your division. Can you tell us about how they got involved?
Yeah, I had a very dear friend of mine whose daughter was our consulate general in Australia. She received these helmets from the Australian firefighters. They have their heartfelt condolences written on the helmets, and you can't get much farther from New York City than Australia, 10,000 miles away, and I think it demonstrates the brotherhood amongst the fire service and the emergency services altogether, and they've sent them to us. They've traveled around, they've been to fire academies, emergency service academies. They've been in the State House in New Jersey, county seats. They travel around just to keep the memory of those lost alive.
And it's amazing to be able to even share that today, this morning, with our viewers as we reflect. Again, so many wanted to help, that day, that morning, in that time. And you think as far as Australia, you think, no way. But this is something, when you reflect, that united so many people together. Again, taking another live look here. This is at the Pentagon here, the ringing of the bell at this time.
William H. Donovan, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Charles A. Draws, the 3rd United States Navy, retired.
So again, this will continue out throughout the morning. 22 years, what do you remember the most?
You remember everything. You remember everything. Things were pretty grim, and yeah, that's a tough question. I don't think there's much you forget.
It was a time, too, when Americans who didn't know each other offered support. That's what I've gathered, right? I wasn't in New York at the time, but what I've heard from interviews is that people who didn't know anyone, strangers, they came together to offer support. Did you get a sense of that at the time?
Oh, sure. I was one of those strangers.
Yeah.
You wanted to help out and get in the fight and do anything you could to lend a hand.
Mm-hmm. We often talk about that phrase, never forget. How important is that? And for generations that may have grown up not during that time, and you got to remember 22 years, there are a lot of people that have grown up. They didn't witness this. They don't know where they were. Obviously they weren't here during this time. How can you continue to educate those about the devastation of a day like what you see on your screen?
That's a fantastic question. In fact, we are 22 years away now, and these helmets have kind of been repurposed. They used to be all about the brotherhood in the emergency services and uniting all of us and keeping that together. But now they're going to go to schools. They're going to educate the new people that weren't around during 9/11 and keep the firefighters and everybody lost that day, their memories alive.
It's a wonderful message. Such a powerful visual, right, that sort of encompasses what happened. Just the willingness, the bravery, the worldwide support from those who saw America come under attack and wanting to be there for this nation and support everyone who had to rebuild in the 22 years that followed. Peter Cagnassola, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the story of these helmets.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for being part of sharing this.
Absolutely. We're happy to do so.